You thought they were a blessing. At first, the charms sparkled like diamonds in the sun, but underneath that gleam was a lesson cloaked in human form. When God wants your attention, He doesn't always send comfort. Sometimes He sends chaos dressed as charisma. The narcissist didn't sneak in. They were permitted, allowed to enter because there were things hidden in your soul that pain could bring to the surface. You didn't just meet them by chance. The encounter was orchestrated, designed not for your destruction, but for your discovery. You begged God to remove them. But what if the real miracle was in the revealing, not the removal? There are truths you would have never uncovered in peace. You needed war to wake up. The mask they wore was only part of the story. The real focus was the mirror they held to your wounds. They played the villain, but the movie was about your rebirth. God let them in because He trusted you could outgrow them. Pain is often the disguise of promotion. It pushes us beyond what comfort ever could. You weren't cursed. You were chosen, not to be broken, but to be built. When a narcissist enters your life, it's rarely about them. It's always about what they're meant to activate within you. God saw your potential long before you saw your patterns. He allowed the storm to expose the cracks in your foundation. You kept trying to save them. God was trying to save you. There was a hidden version of you, a powerful, awakened, discerning you, that had to be summoned through fire. They lied to you, but God was showing you how much you lied to yourself. You settled for red flags sewn into romantic fantasies, and He wanted you to see the truth. Love doesn't look like manipulation. Affection doesn't sound like control. He needed you to feel the difference, not just hear it. Every moment of confusion was a chance to confront your conditioning. The narcissist awakened your inner voice, not the one silenced by fear, but the one born for freedom. Their betrayal was a scalpel in the hands of a holy surgeon. God didn't let them in to punish you. He let them in to purify you. You had beliefs about yourself that needed to be shattered. Beliefs that said you were only worthy if you performed, pleased, or endured. That illusion had to die for the truth to live. The pain wasn't pointless. It was surgical. Every tear was watering a garden you didn't know was buried under years of survival. You met them to unlearn everything that kept you small. It was never just about healing from them. It was about healing from everything before them. God didn't want revenge. He wanted revelation. You were not foolish for loving them. You were faithful. But now, you're being called to love yourself with that same intensity. Their cruelty was your catalyst. You didn't lose yourself. You discovered what parts were never truly you. God will allow someone toxic to enter, not to destroy your spirit, but to detox your soul. What felt like spiritual warfare was sacred awakening. The narcissist's presence exposed your past agreements with pain. God wanted to break the cycle. That meant confronting the source. You thought you were abandoned. You were being aligned. You thought you were being punished. You were being prepared. The relationship was your classroom. The breakup was your graduation. You prayed for strength, and God sent a situation that demanded it. You asked for clarity, and God gave you a person who confused you, so you'd learn to trust your own voice. You thought love was endurance, but God is redefining your vocabulary. Real love heals. It does not harm. You couldn't see the manipulation when it was wrapped in romance, so He unwrapped it for you. The red flags weren't ignored. They were reinterpreted. God's lesson was in the translation. He didn't need you to be perfect. He needed you to be aware. This wasn't about revenge or hate. It was about holiness. About becoming. God doesn't just deliver us from evil. He reveals it. The narcissist was a teacher in disguise, a harsh one, but necessary. There are altars in your life that needed to be broken, altars to approval to people, pleasing to performance. God let the narcissist in so you'd finally say enough. You were never meant to stay in that space. You were meant to awaken. Their departure didn't ruin you. It revealed you. You're still standing. Stronger, wiser, louder in your spirit. God never left you in that dark room. He was waiting for you to find the light switch. You kept looking for the enemy outside, but the real enemy was the silence in your soul. He wanted you to speak up, to rise up, to walk out. The narcissist was not your ending. They were your introduction to self, love, to standards, to boundaries ordained by heaven. Sometimes God uses a liar to teach you how to live in truth. Sometimes he uses a manipulator to show you the power of clarity. You now know the sound of deception, and more importantly, you know the sound of your voice. What the enemy meant for evil, God has repurposed into elevation. Every manipulation was a message. Remember who you are. Your empathy is your gift, but it's not your cage. God needed you to differentiate between compassion and captivity. You weren't weak for staying. You were strong for surviving. But now it's time to thrive. They didn't break you. They broke the illusion. God doesn't waste pain. He repurposes it for power. Your story is now your strategy. What once made you cry will one day make someone else believe. You carry healing in your scars. You carry wisdom in your wounds. And you carry fire in your forgiveness. The narcissist thought they won, but you walked away with your soul. God is not done with you. He's just getting started. This pain was your prelude, your promises ahead. The person you're becoming would terrify the one who tolerated that abuse. God let them in, not because he hated you, but because he loved you too much to let you stay asleep. Now you see, now you know, the clarity is loud, the peace is sacred. This was never about them. It was always about your becoming. You've graduated from survival. Now it's time to live. You've exited the illusion. Now it's time to lead. God is calling you higher. No more apologizing for your discernment. No more shrinking to fit their fantasy. You were born for truth, born for purpose, born for destiny. The narcissist was a detour. God is your direction. The silence after their exit wasn't empty. It was sacred space for your soul to breathe again. God cleared the noise so you could finally hear your own heart beating, loud and resilient. You didn't lose everything. You lost what was blocking everything. Their absence created the room for your resurrection. The trauma wasn't your identity. It was your invitation. You now know what peace feels like. Because chaos was once your companion, God doesn't reveal darkness to shame you. He reveals it so you never sit in it again. You thought you needed closure, but what you really needed was clarity, and God gave it, painfully, powerfully, and permanently. That door didn't close on you. It closed for you. You thought it was rejection, but it was redirection with heaven's fingerprints all over it. Your intuition was never wrong. It was just overruled by hope. God is restoring your trust, not just in him, but in yourself. You kept doubting your discernment, but every alarm bell you ignored was a divine whisper. Now you know. Discernment is a form of self-respect. What once confused you now confirms your growth. You don't have to explain your healing to those who benefit from your brokenness. God is teaching you that peace is not just a feeling, it's a standard. You can forgive them and still never let them near you again. Boundaries aren't bitterness, they're blueprints for your blessing. God is rebuilding the house of your soul. Stronger, wiser, unshakable. The narcissist broke the glass, but God rebuilt the mirror. Now you see yourself clearly. No more bending, no more begging, no more bargaining for crumbs. God is your provider, not your pain. You were looking for love in a storm, but God was waiting for you in the stillness. The enemy thought he could use a person to derail your purpose, but God used the same person to reveal it. Everything they stole, your confidence, your laughter, your identity, is being restored. And this time, it won't be in the hands of someone who abuses it. This time, it's sacred, sealed, secured by God himself. You're no longer operating from desperation. You're walking in divine design. The healing didn't happen all at once, but every step was a step back to you. You are not a victim. You are evidence that darkness doesn't win. You've walked through fire and come out forged. You've lost illusions and gained insight. You've watched false love fall away so that real love could rise. God let the narcissist in not to define you, but to refine you. Their manipulation taught you the value of mental freedom. Their gaslighting taught you to believe your own light. Their coldness showed you where warmth truly lies, within your own spirit. The power they seemed to have over you was only an echo of what you gave away. But now, your power is home, and it's not for rent. You're not who you were when they met you. You are unrecognizable, even to your past self. What once kept you up at night, you now thank God for letting go. You now bless the lessons, even when the class almost broke you. You wear your healing like a crown, not a chain. The most dangerous version of you is the one who knows her worth and doesn't apologize for it. The most unstoppable version of you is the one who survived what was sent to silence you. You were made for more. That's why the counterfeit had to go. God isn't just healing your past. He's revealing your future. It's bright, it's bold, and it's yours. No longer waiting for someone to complete you. You are already whole. No longer confused about what love looks like. You've seen its opposite. Now you'll never forget the difference. You're not rebuilding alone. Heaven is your architect. Everything the narcissist tried to dismantle is being resurrected with divine blueprints. They taught you everything you never want again. God is teaching you what to never settle for again. The more you heal, the more you see that peace isn't a reward. It's your right, and you're walking in it boldly, with boundaries as your armor and discernment as your compass. What once haunted you now humbles you, because you made it out. God turned your heartbreak into holy ground. You're not angry anymore. You're awake. That shift alone is worth more than any apology you never received. When you stopped chasing closure, God gave you clarity. When you stopped begging for peace from people who profit from chaos, you found it within. The silence they left wasn't abandonment, it was sacred space for revelation. Sometimes God removes the noise so you can hear your own spirit speak. Your spirit never lied to you. It just got drowned out by the drama. God is teaching you to trust your first feeling, not your fantasy. You romanticized their potential, but God sees patterns, and patterns speak louder than promises. You saw what you wanted them to be. God revealed what they really were. That revelation hurt, but it also healed. It forced you to become the version of yourself you had postponed. No more delaying your growth for the sake of their comfort. You're not responsible for fixing what they refuse to face. That's not loyalty, that's bondage. God didn't call you to carry their dysfunction. He called you to break the cycle. Yes, you loved them deeply, but now you love yourself deeper, and that shift is holy. You're not walking away bitter. You're walking away better. You no longer seek validation in someone else's broken mirror. God has given you a new reflection, clear, radiant, whole. Your value is no longer negotiable. God has stamped his identity on you, and no narcissist can edit it. You're no longer dimming your light for someone addicted to shadows. Now you shine unapologetically. They couldn't handle your brightness because it exposed their emptiness. That's not your burden to carry. You tried everything to make it work, but God wasn't trying to fix it. He was trying to free you. Some doors aren't meant to open again. Let that one stay shut. Some people are not your assignment. They are your awakening. God let them in to awaken the fire, the vision, the voice you'd buried under compromise. You were never too much. They were just not enough for your calling. Your softness isn't weakness. It's sacred. Your empathy isn't foolish. It's powerful. But from now on, it will be guided by wisdom, not wounds. From now on, your love will be grounded in truth, not trauma. You are not broken. You are being built. Every piece you lost is being replaced with something eternal. You're not empty. You're expanding. And the pain was the pressure that birthed your expansion. You thought the season was about heartbreak, but it was about harvest. You are harvesting wisdom, strength, clarity, and a version of yourself that fear can no longer touch. You didn't lose time. You gained truth. You didn't waste love. You purified it. The love you gave them, it returns to you multiplied, refined, holy. The kindness you showed, God saw it all, and He will repay in ways that don't manipulate your mercy. Your obedience in leaving, even when your heart wanted to stay, was a spiritual promotion. God honors those kinds of choices. You didn't walk away empty-handed. You walked away with your soul, and that's everything. You are no longer triggered by their tactics. What once terrified you now testifies for you. God is not just healing your heart. He's building your future, a future where discernment is your armor, a future where your peace is protected, a future where your spirit no longer bends to keep someone else from breaking. You are no longer afraid of starting over, because now you're not starting from pain, you're starting from power, and this time you bring wisdom with you. This time you walk with God, not guilt. This time you walk with intention, not illusion. This time love will meet you on the level you healed to, and that love will recognize you because it was born in the same fire. You are not who you were when this began. You're stronger, wiser, sharper, deeper. You don't beg anymore. You bless and release. You don't explain anymore. You elevate and exit. This version of you is dangerous to darkness. This version of you doesn't chase. She attracts what's aligned because she knows what's for her doesn't require her to shrink. God let the narcissist in to strip away everything false. You no longer see the world through the lens of longing. You see it through the lens of truth. God shattered the illusion so your vision could finally be clear. No more fantasy dressed as faith. No more staying just because you once prayed for them. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is, let them go. You weren't being punished. You were being protected from what your hope couldn't yet see. Their patterns were louder than their promises, and finally you listened. God allowed the mask to slip, not to hurt you, but to heal you. Because real healing begins where illusion ends. You kept asking, why me? But now you're saying, thank you. Thank you for showing me who I was before the pain taught me who I am. The narcissist didn't destroy your identity. They exposed what was never yours to carry. You are not the roles they assigned you. Fixer, forgiver, forgettable. You are chosen, whole, fierce in your faith and fire. Every manipulation they tried to spin was God's megaphone saying, daughter, rise. Rise out of confusion. Rise out of guilt. Rise out of the false peace that always cost you your voice. That wasn't love. It was spiritual suffocation. And now God has breathed life back into your lungs. You're speaking again. Loudly, clearly, with conviction. And the sound of your voice is the sound of chains breaking. You no longer see red flags as romantic challenges. You see them as divine stop signs. You've learned, love without respect is spiritual starvation. God fed you truth when your spirit was starving. Now you feast on peace, clarity, and boldness. You don't ask for crumbs when you know you carry a table. Let them walk away. Let them misunderstand you. Let them say you changed, because you did. God is not calling you to go back. He's calling you to go forward, to walk as the woman who no longer trades her worth for connection, to walk as the woman who no longer apologizes for healing out loud. You were never too sensitive. You were just spiritually aware in a toxic environment. Now your sensitivity is a superpower, not a sentence. The narcissist saw your softness and tried to weaponize it, but God saw your softness and crowned it with discernment. What they used to exploit, God will use to empower. They underestimated the storm inside you. Now that storm has turned into strategy. Every tear you shed was a prayer God heard, even when you felt abandoned. You weren't abandoned. You were anchored in lessons, anchored in spiritual wisdom, anchored in divine identity. You're not rebuilding your life. You're resurrecting it, and nothing born in truth needs to fear destruction. The narcissist thought they ended you, but they accidentally introduced you to the most powerful version of yourself. That's divine irony. That's holy reversal. God is rewriting your story, and this time it doesn't center on their chaos, it centers on your calling. This isn't about bitterness, it's about becoming. This isn't about what they did, it's about what God is doing through it. You've learned to be still when silence is sacred, and to roar when truth demands it. You're not afraid of confrontation anymore, because your peace is worth protecting. You're not afraid of walking alone, because God walks with you in the empty spaces they left behind. Your loneliness became your laboratory. And in that solitude, God revealed your strength, your truth, your destiny. You are no longer afraid of endings, because with God, every ending is just an elevation in disguise. Your boundaries now speak before your words do. Your energy now filters what your eyes used to miss. God upgraded your spirit. Now your discernment scans what your emotions used to ignore. And when they try to come back, as they always do, they'll find a version of you they no longer have access to. The door isn't just closed, it's sealed by divine wisdom. No more relapsing into romanticized pain. No more confusing chemistry with calling. You are awake now, and awakened women don't settle. You don't need to explain your freedom to those still addicted to dysfunction. God didn't bring you this far to question your worth again. He didn't heal you so you could reopen the wound for nostalgia. Let the past miss you. You're too focused on your future to look back. You've traded surviving for soaring. You've traded performing for presence, and now you walk not just with confidence, but with covenant, because God let the narcissist in, not to trap you, but to transform you, and he's not done. He's just getting started.